What you doing there? You guys making a podcast?
Why would you think that's a good idea?
Podcast?
You two are the dumbest people I've ever seen.
That's
Hello,
janky.
ladies and gentlemen. I am your captain and beloved leader, Jake Trumper. I'm just kidding. Don't ever get on a ship with me if I'm the captain. I'll have no idea what I'm doing, and I will panic. Speaking of panic, my cat is mauling my camera woman right now. It is a crazy Friday. It is the day after Thanksgiving as I record this, and I feel the excitement of Christmas and holiday spirit in the air, and I am very excited to be interviewing a very talented voice actor. But before we do that, speaking of excitement and love in the air, it's the holiday season, so thankfully I got some sponsors so I can afford those presents under the tree for my psychotic cat. Today's episode is brought to you by OCC Merch. It is the perfect company for the biggest creators and the smallest creators out there. They do all the work. I'm a pretty small creator myself, and they have been nothing but helpful when it comes to selling my merch. They host my site. They do everything I need them to do to make it the easiest experience and the best experience. You can pick your designs. It's an awesome group to work with. They're called OCC Merch. They've got a holiday special right now. Tell them Jake sent ya. It's a great way to get started with merch. If you're inexperienced when it comes to selling shirts and stuff, you just started picking up some clout on the internet, maybe you're a band, maybe anything you need shirts for, they've got you covered at OCC Merch. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. As always, it is another week of a legendary interview with someone who has taught me how to use my microphone. Maybe this episode will not have any popping of the mic. Let's keep our hopes high as I am joined with a voice acting legend, Jacob. Oh, Jacob, I didn't even ask you. Do you want me to give you a last name, or do you just want to be Jacob?
Oh, you can say my last name. That's fine. It's Kossler. It's like Kessler, but with an O. So Kossler.
So Kossler?
Yeah.
That sounds like Jacob Kossler. That's kind of like that's already like a movie star name. Like you're one step into the industry already with a name like that.
Oh, thanks.
Yes. Okay. So speaking of quote unquote the industry nowadays with the internet, one could argue everybody's in the industry. What really sets people apart is the knowledge of the craft that they do. And you're a voice actor who I would say really understands the craft. Do you want to take a little bit of time to describe what you do?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm a voice actor. So obviously I do voiceover performances for various media. I do basically everything in terms of fields for voiceover, commercial, promo, video games, animation. And so my job is to basically provide any sort of voices for a script that's provided for some company. If it's commercial, they'll have some sort of script written up for that advertisement, and you just basically read it off of the sort of idea that they want for their product. Or if it's a character, that's typically where you can kind of bring your own creative influence onto whatever product it is, as characters are more of your own culmination of a director's idea and what your idea of what the character would be. And you just sort of just bring any sort of ideas that these people have to life.
Which is always something interesting to me, because you and I kind of work a similar job. It's our jobs require our voices, because I'm a radio host, so both of us kind of have to convey a character, energy, emotions only through one's voice, which is honestly kind of sometimes easier said than done. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
So one of the big things now for me is, now that I'm like, after you just listed off like everything you've been a part of, what is your favorite aspect of voice acting?
Ooh, I definitely say is actually playing these characters. 90% of voice acting actually is auditioning. That's where most of it comes from. So it's that 10% you have as being this character that you've this role you've gotten, and you can actually just have fun with it, because you're no longer trying to compete with other people for these roles. You are now just being able to express your own creative influence on whatever project you're working on, and then you get to work with people who are some of the best in their fields on these like just awesome products. I definitely think that actually being able to work on these characters like in video games and in animations are definitely the best part of the job.
Are you represented by anyone, or do you just find the auditions yourself and kind of work on your own behalf?
I'm not currently represented. I do everything on my own at the moment. Most of my work is done online, just because of COVID. So I'm on voices.com, which is a pay-to-play voiceover site. So essentially, you pay a subscription to the site, and then you have access to a bunch of these much higher-paying voiceover gigs that you wouldn't normally have access to. And it's a pretty steep paywall, but it comes with the fact that this is stuff that will go on an IMDb page, or that will stuff you show on a resume and show off that you've worked with Coca-Cola, or if you've worked with Adidas, or whatever various brands that are going to go on that site.
Yeah, and what brands have you? Is there any brands that you've been like especially proud of working for?
Let me think. I'd say one that I really liked. Well, it's not necessarily the brand itself. So Star Trek has a very strange trademark thing with it, where you basically can't use anything Star Trek related, no matter how crazy, no matter how like creatively different it is. You have to get discrete permission from CBS to use it. But I was able to work on this audiobook for Star Trek, and that I can't remember all the details for it. My role was pretty minor in it, but it was really interesting to see sort of being actually involved in such an established universe, rather than stuff that's normally fairly new in terms of I guess its writing and its just existence as a creative medium. So I worked as a doctor character on that audiobook. And it was just very interesting, because I've always been pretty big into Star Trek and Star Wars. So it was, I think I was really proud of it, just as a nerd, and being involved in something that I've always like just consumed as some sort of media.
I'm really interested as well to talk about. So I've kind of got two questions here. So the first one is going to be about like auditioning, and then the other one's going to be about advice. I want to jump on the auditioning one, because I've auditioned for things that require like actors. Pre-COVID times, I would do auditions, and I would always leave. Like when you do an audition in person, it sucks afterwards if you did bad, because you can kind of see their reactions. I did one time where it was for a Leapfrog product that they said that they would accept actors from like ages 10 to 16. So 16-year-old me was there, and it was me and one other 16-year-old. So imagine the cringiest experience of like 30 10-year-olds sitting there, and then I'm just chilling there as a 16-year-old. I was like, I want to die, and I want to get this over with. And then I went and did it, and it was just very cringy, awkward. Everyone was like, "Yeah, thanks." And I think I could see it in their eyes, where they're like, "Why the hell did we say a 16-year-old could be here?" So it's like almost, it crushes you a little bit. How like, are auditions ever in person when it comes to voice auditions, or is it just a kind of you record and then you send it in and then you get like an email back?
It's actually both. It really depends on location. Voiceover is in a very weird business, to where it was very initially an in-person experience with pre-COVID, with the primary studios you're going to are either in LA or Dallas Fort Worth area in Texas. And you would basically have to have an agent to usually book these gigs, and then your agent would set this up for you, and you would be called in to the studio where the audition was happening, and you'd have to cold read whatever thing they got you. 9 times out of 10, you don't get to hear or know what product you're reading for, like after you like read it and leave, or until you actually book the gig. So there's a lot of it's very common in the industry for you to go in there, read, not have any idea how well you did, because you're just inside the booth reading. You're sort of just given a direction. They might give you like 2 takes you can do, and then they'll just have you walk out, and you just have to just accept however you did, and just see if, like, hope you got the right idea of what they want for the character, because it's not as much are you good enough to play this role, and more of, did your audition match what they think the role should be like.
Did you
Since
did you ever have to do a reading for Leapfrog?
I did not.
Did you do you see like who you do you see who your competition is during these auditions?
Sometimes, yes. They'll have like a lobby that you can sit in. I'm based in Georgia, so I don't go to these big studios. I'll go to Atlanta sometimes, and that will just be you're sitting in the lobby for whatever building the studio is in, and there's people in there. I don't know if they're voice talent. I don't know if they're there for some other reason. You don't often see it unless you see them like walking out of the room or the hallway that the actual studio's in.
Okay, cool. Because like I said before, like knowing that I lost to a 10-year-old kind of just like will haunt me forever. You know, like Benjamin, if you're out there, I hate you, and I want you to know I deserve that Leapfrog sponsorship. But you know, let's segue, not open up old wounds. If there is a new voice actor out there right now, right? They just got their setup. I guess there's two questions here with it. What would you recommend for setup if someone's looking to get like a setup for voice acting? And then the second part being, since you've clearly had a lot of experience, what is the first step?
So my advice for a first time voice actor would probably be to get training. Voice acting is not nearly as easy as it used to be. Not saying it was easy before, but what the market wants now is a lot harder to attain than what the older market was looking for. So just getting a coach is the biggest thing. My first big investment was getting a coach. I've always just been into like technology, so I already had the equipment I needed. It's that I didn't have the skills I needed, so I hired a coach. I'd pay them an X amount of dollars per hour for a coaching session. You typically do it once a week to once every 2 weeks, and that's supposed to help you really focus in on what your weaknesses are and how you can improve them. I'd say that's definitely my biggest first step you need to take.
So first step
is getting that training.
So first step probably before even buying the stuff is get a voice coach, see if you really do want to like stick with it, and then move on to the equipment. What kind of equipment do you have right now?
I have quite a collection of microphones. I've been collecting them since about 2013.
What's like the baby? What's the one that gets to sit in the studio with you while the others just sit off in the distance watching it be used and be loved?
I'll actually rotate them just for the
Wow.
different sound I want.
That's
so
incredible.
The one I use most commonly is my Sennheiser MKH 416, which is what I'm using for this interview. It's a $1,000 microphone. It's what I used for the TikTok meme, and it's very common for voiceover because it's a shotgun microphone, so what they use for like the film movies, and it became really common in studios. I think back in the 60s or 70s, because they would use it on set, and then a lot of the times there would be like things that were out of their control in terms of audio issues. And so they would bring the microphone into a studio and set it up for someone to do the actors, or someone who can do that actor's voice to do automatic dialogue replacement. So, or ADR, which is very common in the industry, where it's just some sort of issue with there. They can replicate the sound of what the footage should be like by taking that microphone and bringing it into the studio. And so the 416 became popular in every single studio. And then there's qualities of the microphone that just sort of make it stand out above the rest. It's very interesting. A shotgun microphone isn't typical for voiceover.
Yeah, I was gonna say
416 is.
I have a shotgun mic.
Unique case.
Because when you said shotgun mic, I was like, oh my god, I know what he's talking about. But it's like a Rode mic that would hook up to my Canon T6i. So I never.
Yeah, you probably have a video mic.
Yes, yeah. So I didn't realize shotgun mics could be so respectable. what other, if you had to pick like one other mic to like kind of shout out right now, what other one would you recommend?
I don't personally have it, but the microphone that is used in every single Disney movie that you've probably heard is the Neumann U87. It costs about $3,600 for the to get a kit for it. And Neumann is just known as probably the go-to company for microphones in the professional industry, just because every single microphone they make it can be used at a professional level. Their cheapest microphone is $500, which is pretty expensive in terms of at least if you're trying to get into doing voiceover and stuff. Because Neumann there has the U87, their TLM 103. Those are probably the two most common microphones you'll run into in a studio. But yeah, the U87 has been used in every Disney movie. It's used in basically most forms of animation, and if they don't want to chill out for a U87, they get a TLM 103.
That is,
so I'd say U87 is definitely like what I'd want to get as my like
I
guess, step up.
I feel so do you have a podcast?
I don't.
You should get a podcast because now I feel very underqualified. This might the first few episodes we would use Blue Yeti mics, and then I got this mic because the radio station I work at, we had to shut down for a few days, and they just gave us these mics, and they're like, just use these to still have that like radio effect until we come back in due to COVID. So I've never really like bought an expensive mic. I don't even know how much this one costs. My radio station just gave it to me, and I'm pretty sure I'm probably breaking some rules by using it for personal reasons. But I've learned more about microphones within this last 5 minutes than I've literally ever known before.
Yeah, microphones are complicated.
I do want to jump into, you mentioned your TikTok memes. You are kind of the guy for high audio, low video part of TikTok. First of all, how do you get the high audio in there, like into your videos?
So I have two ways of doing this. My original way I did it was I had a webcam set up in my booth, because typically when you're working with clients, they'll want to see you in the booth so they can help you help direct you like physically, because physicality is also a big part of voice acting. That's how you can kind of get those very slight variations in your voice to really I guess amplify whatever sort of emotion or situation you're trying to portray. And then I had my microphone obviously set up, and I would record into OBS or Open Broadcast software, which is very common for streamers to use. I basically would have it recording in there, so I had the video and audio already synced up, and I just went and I recorded it, the video, and then I would bring it into Adobe Premiere and just rotate the footage, zoom in, do whatever editing I need, and then I would just bring the render resolution down as low as possible, and then I would have my my audio output match the input sample from my audio interface.
Jeez, and then that sounds a little complicated. Is the second way just as complicated?
Oh, it's definitely a lot easier. So I got it's a USB 3.0 I guess adapter port for my iPhone. I can just plug it into the iPhone, and then it has just a Lightning port and USB 3, so I can hook up the microphone to my audio interface, which is what converts your the audio signal from your microphone to digital, so your computer can actually like read it and record with it. I would just plug that instead of into the computer into the USB 3 port on that dongle, and then plug the phone and Lightning port in because it can't supply enough power on its own. And then I could just record that way. So the audio going into the phone is directly from the microphone. And then I have a video editing software, so I can just turn down the resolution, and then I'll just render out the video like 3 times over.
Jesus,
so it just keeps getting worse and worse quality.
Jesus Christ, that's dedication to the craft. I just double check my history knowledge and then film a video. I feel like I'm underdoing it compared to you, man. You're going all out.
Oh no, I hate it. It's a lot of work, and it's not even. I'm not, from all my friends I've made. I'm one of the lazier people. I have a friend who does he only uploads every couple weeks and or like maybe every week or two, and he spends a lot of time editing his videos, but he refuses to just keep his stuff on an SD card and do it on a computer. He just has it record directly to his phone from his camera.
That
he has a very strange setup, and it takes a lot more time for him to make his videos.
which TikTok sadly does not reward. TikTok wants that stuff out as fast as possible for you to look good.
Exactly.
Have you looked into Instagram Reels at all?
I've considered it, but I barely have enough time to run the TikTok account, so the running a secondary account, I guess, would be fine for the fact that I could just upload to it, just upload both videos.
Instagram Reels, brother. I'm getting more views on my Instagram Reels than I'm getting like hundreds of thousands of views per video for no reason. No reason on Instagram Reels. I only have like 4,100 followers. There's no reason for me to be getting as many views as I am. Instagram Reels is where it's at right now, bro.
Interesting. I think I've sort of just stepped away from social media as a whole. I think I really only use Twitter and TikTok right now.
Interesting. I hate Twitter.
Twitter is slowly teetering off for me.
Yeah.
I used to be a big Twitter fan back. I think I made my first account in 2012. And from 2012 to about 2015, I loved Twitter. I was obsessed with it. I was just on it nonstop. And slowly it became much more mainstream to have a Twitter, because I think Twitter was very much the equivalent of alt TikTok for social media.
Yeah.
And so it was. I loved it. It was like everything was great about it. It was just nothing but memes and just everyone having a good time. And then a bunch of celebrities got on there. Everyone was getting on there, and they sort of just went to hell.
Yeah.
But I think I'm slowly falling off of Twitter too. I usually just look at it now for news, and occasionally, if I have just a really weird thought that I think would be funny to tweet out, I'll tweet it out.
Yeah,
But that's about it.
I really only use Twitter now to try to garner followers from like YouTubers and stuff, like become friends with them, so then that way I have a direct contact with them to get them onto the podcast. How did you like find me? Because I remember you commented on one of my videos. I went to your page, saw that you were following me, saw that you had a lot of followers, and saw that your content was absolutely hilarious. And I was like, all right, I'm going to follow this guy back. And then, and now we're here. But like, I feel like our styles aren't really similar. Is there like,
I think that's more on me. I am, it was weird saying it this way. I'm kind of a jack of all trades when it comes to things I enjoy. I follow just a huge variety of people because I like everything. I like history. I like technology. I like voice acting. I love video games. I love sports. I follow just a huge variety of people. I just had my For You page probably changes entirely in terms of content, like every 3 weeks or every to a month. So I had a phase where I was just like watching history related stuff, and so I followed you during that time, since you were just putting out like nonstop history videos, and I really liked your knowledge on it, since it seemed you spent a lot of time sort of understanding the history behind it and not trying to you were just sort of telling it how it was rather than trying to make an interpretation of the events.
wow, thank you. That was a nice little ego boost for me right there. Thank you. I guess since we're on the history thing, and usually my podcasts only go for about 30 minutes, holy cow, we've already been talking for like over 20. What is, because I always have to ask everyone this, and I'm sure now you've already got one ready. Who is your favorite historical figure?
That's easy. I figured out the first time I heard about him. It was John D. Rockefeller.
Interesting.
Yes. I learned about him. I think it was 10th grade or 11th grade in high school. My U.S. history teacher was taught. We started covering the area of oil and monopolies, and I heard about John D. Rockefeller, and I just thought to myself, that is the coldest motherfucker I've ever heard of. He just didn't care. He was like, I'm going to become the richest man in the world.
Yeah, and he was.
I'll figure out how to do it.
He's considered the like richest man in modern history, right? Because he's from New York, right?
Yeah.
And like New York, some would argue like kind of the pinnacle of like New York is like rich, wealthy people, and Rockefeller's definitely an image of that.
Yeah. He was just such a cutthroat businessman. Anyone who was in his way for in the oil industry, he just like is either I purchase you and you work under me, or I'm going to make sure you fail.
So,
and
my last,
I was just
no, go ahead.
sorry, go ahead. I was like, that's so cool. I know it's really bad. Like that's not good. Like I'm not pro monopoly at all, but I was like, this is just a cool dude. Like I would not want to cross this guy.
Dude.
But he like was everything he did was like mostly legal. So it was like just another level. I'm like, he just worked the system.
It's all legal loopholes is what he did.
Yeah.
And like right when you said that, I was like, is my knowledge wrong? Because the second you said that, I was like, he was like basically the equivalent of a billionaire like mobster. Like he was like the mobster of the wealthy class, and the oil industry not really seen as like the nicest guy out there. So I was like, no, bad, which is hilarious because go him. He did it, man. He like won the game of Monopoly. He won the American dream, which good for him. But I find it hilarious that my last guest, Turkey Tom, picked the Unabomber as his favorite person. And then I was like, man, no one can get much worse than that. And then you're like, I choose the icon of people will use for evil capitalism. So congrats, man. You're on, I remember one guest I had literally talked about like this guy who, I can't even think of his name, but is just like an icon who's like not looked at, went out of his way to help people. And then, I love the variety we have. Is there anything else you want to say? Like shout out to Rockefeller or anything about him?
Yeah, he just, I think we watched a documentary on him when we were or I guess all the oil monopolists at, late 1890s, early 1900s. The way he just basically took over, every oil industry. He, put Carnegie basically out of business.
Badass.
Bought up all the railroads, or just like or just made the investments that he needed to make it impossible for anyone else to grow in their business. It's just I respect the fact that he could that he had the foresight to think of anything that could affect business. He thought of it.
That's terrifying. He's like a supervillain.
It is super. I respect his intelligence.
That is so cool, dude. Honestly, that's awesome. So, guys, if you want to learn more about Rockefeller, there is actually a diehard fan page created by Jacob in honor of Rockefeller. The history has been completely changed. He's actually seen as like the Superman of the oil industry. He's a hero. He's a god, and Jacob can attest to that, right?
It's true.
Yes.
Fun fact, Spider-Man was actually modeled after John D. Rockefeller.
Incredible. You know, the Spider-Man who is living in an apartment and is very poor and gets lucky to have superpowers, that's just like Rockefeller. He got the superpower of money, which is, let's be honest, if you had to pick a superpower and someone's like, you can either have super speed, super strength, invisibility, or rich as hell, like billionaire, which one would you pick?
Realistically, I would say super speed, but I think being rich would probably be the next one, because there's a reason why Batman's the most popular superhero.
I was really hoping you were just gonna like run with me and be like, yeah, super rich. I'd be like, yeah, being rich is best. You're like, no, Jake, you idiot. Super speed is still super speed.
I'm big into my comics. You can do with super speed. You can get everything else from that.
Fair enough.
So,
you know,
it's my loophole.
I should not have said super speed. The other ones were like, but then I. Anyways,
yeah, super speed. There's so many loopholes.
Yes. So, anyways, man. Again, thank you so much for coming on. It's time. It is time now to self-promote. Anyone who took me literally, there is not there probably is a fan page for Rockefeller, but it was not created by Jacob. So if you're sitting there and you're like, I hate Rockefeller, don't worry. Jacob did not make a fan page about him, to my knowledge, but he does have a lot of other awesome social medias. Do you want to promote any of those bad boys?
Yeah, sure. So you can follow me on TikTok at smellslikeupdog_. There, I try and post voice actor related content, or just audio equipment related content, or just post whatever I feel like. Sometimes it happens a lot. Or I'll just sort of interact with people. You can also follow me on Twitter. It's at Kossler VA. So I'm not crazy active on there, but if you want to keep up with stuff that I'm doing, you can keep up with my projects that I'm involved in on my Twitter. And yeah, that's about it.
Awesome. Yeah, and what's your Twitter name?
At Kossler VA, so Kossler VA.
Perfect. That's how you spell it. And do you know what? To my fellow illiterate friends out there, do you want to spell "smells like up dog" just real fast for us?
SMELLSLIKEUPDOG_.
It was surprisingly difficult, wasn't it?
It was like, oh, English spelling was like my worst.
Yeah. I was trying to do it in my head, and I was like, dude, these are like 3 easy-ass words. Why am I struggling?
I know.
Awesome. Dude, thank you so much for coming on and spreading the wisdom of voice acting. I look forward to seeing more stuff. You spoke of IMDb. Do you have an IMDb account that I can go check out right now?
I don't.
Yet. That right there, that is the rich man Rockefeller ideology right there. You're gonna be the the Rockefeller of voice acting.
Oh my, I wish.
That's like a red flag.
That guy, that guy's already come and gone.
Who was it? Wait, do you know who? Do you have someone that you would view as that?
Yes. So from about 19. I want to say. I'm trying to think of the years he was active. I think it was probably from 1960s to like the 80s, maybe even earlier than that. Mel Blanc, who is he was the original Bugs Bunny.
Okay.
He basically has done everything you can think of in terms of voiceover. He was known as one of the biggest voices in Hollywood. You'd hear him in everything you had, not just character work. You hear him in commercials, like all those big classic, like In a World sort of commercials.
Oh, really?
Trailers was him. They had a group of about 3 or 4 people from basically the moment that they had TV commercials and trailers all the way up to like the modern era of voiceover. It was all just a handful of guys who were all based in LA.
That is cool as hell. That's an extra little history fact for you guys out there before we wrap up. Jacob, thank you so much for enlightening us. I'm going to have you stay on the line, but I'm going to end this little recording here.
All right. Sounds good.
Bop. Oh, God. How do I stop it? Stop. Well, wasn't that just a hoot and a holler? Thank you guys so much for watching and hanging out with Captain Jake. I know I look tired, but don't let that deceive you. It turns out I just always have bags under my eyes. It's very fun to deal with. If you also have bags under your eyes, don't worry. You're not alone. Speaking of not being alone, this holiday season, you probably have a gift to buy for someone, so why not look into the coldest water? They emailed me, they're like, yo, you want a sponsorship? I was like, yeah, I need a sponsorship. I don't want one. I need one. Because I needed a water bottle because I have high blood pressure. And I don't drink enough water. But thanks to the coldest water, now I do. So, if you want the coldest water, or maybe you're trying to get a gift for someone to nonchalantly tell them, hey, you idiot, drink some water. Check out the coldest water. I have a referral link that will get you some percentages off up right underneath this video. So again, thanks for watching. Check out coldest water. Till next time.